Last class, we've actually pushed the buttons to control the movement of the character. The problem is that the player only has 8 directions to move. Not flexible enough. In the future, we need to implement joystick control. The player moves in any direction. However, before the joystick control function is realized, we need to design a joystick UI first. This lesson, let's explain the design idea of the joystick UI. Let me ask you a question before I start designing. What do you think is the core of UI design? You know, UI is the abbreviation for user EC. The user interface. Since it is for users. So, the core of UI design should be to consider the user experience. A good UI design. We must place great emphasis on the user experience. To provide users with a good experience, usually you need to start from these aspects. The operation comfort, our convenience, some fluency, the adaptability. So let's start with comfort. A goal of game UI design. It is to let the player operate. Get the dual comfort of hands and brain. Hand comfort. The UI design should conform to user operating habits. To make the user's operation simple, convenient, and effortless. Brain comfort. That is, UI design is designed so that users don't need to think extra. How to operate. The simpler the operation, the more direct the better. And the operation effect is the best, which can be displayed intuitively. UI design. To make the user experience the comfort of the hand. First, we must clarify the function of the finger. Fingers are the most commonly used organ for input at this stage. It is the most important consideration in the operation design. How do you feel comfortable with your fingers? It depends on the hand position on the input. Repeated operation in the grip state. Feel the fastest and least tired fingers. Can handle frequent operations. The rest shall bear secondary or auxiliary operations. This graph is the ranking of the importance of finger manipulation. Thumb and index finger undertake the most frequent operations, like general attack, jump, turn, perspective, communication, and other core operations. Middle finger and sometimes the ring finger undertook secondary operations. For example, PCs. Movement direction of WA in SAD. LTRT key position operation in the handle, etc. The ring finger and little finger provide support only, or take on less important auxiliary operations at the same time. For example, PSV tries to operate the backplane with its ring finger, etc. Certainly. In the actual design process, also consider the differences in the input. Mobile touch use gamepad touch, or use keyboard and mouse control on the computer. Different endpoint control methods are different. When doing game UI design, the key considerations will also vary. Before our course, why design a button? Control player movement. In addition to the concept of curriculum design from shallow to deep, another factor is that during the development process, to test with keys and mice on the computer. But since this time we are doing mobile games, so when we do the joystick UI design below, only consider the design requirements of mobile phone touch. The screen features of mobile phones and tablets are both display areas. Operation area again. So the operating habits of the fingers. The impact on its interface design is significant. Let's take a look. When you usually use your mobile phone, most students, is it basically the following operating habits? When we do game UI design, it must be based on the user's usage habits to lay out the UI interface. In this picture, what do green, yellow, and red represent? Can anyone think of? Yeah, the green is your comfort zone. Yellow indicates an inconvenience area. Red indicates dead ends. If you do game UI design, in the game, some function buttons that require frequent use, like joysticks in games. Do you need to put it in the green area? The special thing about mobile phone screen control is that he barely uses his thumb and index finger. Other fingers are only used in rare cases. For example, some applications fix the screen to the table. Multiple fingers. Because in the common holding position, use the fingers other than the thumb and index finger. Instead, it reduces operational efficiency. Therefore, on the market, important key of HUD in most horizontal screen mobile games. It basically matches the comfort zone of the grip. However, the UI interface does not operate in high frequency, such as commercialization, convenience window, quit, and title buttons, etc. It will still be placed in the corner. In the HUD interface, the keys of the mobile phone interface should be placed on the left and right as much as possible. Thumb. Operate in a comfortable position. The more frequent the operation, the larger the button size. But in the UI interface, prefer to follow the overall logic. Instead of comfort, go to the position of the buttons. The purpose of this design, it is also to make the user's brain more comfortable. Don't think too much. Game UI design should provide users with a good experience, in addition to considering comfort. Also consider the convenience. The convenience of the interface comes from two aspects. Minimal operation and minimal thought can be achieved. Interface target. The selection of mobile game UI operation has a single click and press. Drag and slide. Long press and wait. Single click. It is the best operation for the player to quickly choose and judge. It is characterized by simplicity and directness. Low operating burden. Slightly easy to touch by mistake. This kind of operation is very suitable for giving players a clear expectation, where you can judge what the outcome will be. It is the most fundamental and extensive operation in the game. For example, operations such as pause and start in the game. It is suitable for a single click. A link is a quick succession of clicks. Or press multiple buttons to execute only one command. Its characteristic is that in the case of few key positions, can accommodate a large number of instruction requirements. However, the operation is prone to fatigue. In addition, if there is no operation prompt, player memory costs are quite high. Generally speaking, the experience is not ideal. It's even a bit anti-human. The first is memory complexity. Secondly, if the interval between multiple operations is short, high operating threshold. If the interval is long, it cannot be distinguished from other single instructions. Even if it can be recognized normally, then the immediacy of operation is not guaranteed. Modern game design concepts. In addition to the traditional act, we still insist on continuous pressing and rubbing tricks. ARPG or modern act already uses macros, or increase the key position. Use a single press or a key to place multiple skills. There are ways to avoid this mode of operation in order and so on. Drag is to hold down an object with a mouse or finger. And move freely. It is characterized by holding down Dragged objects will still be displayed. Convenient for player preview comparison. In addition, before deciding on a choice, gives players more time to think and judge. Slide is to turn the joystick to a certain extent or direction. It can be said that it is a flat replacement for the drag operation in the handle. To some extent, it can also replace clicking on it. Slide in terms of character walking or object movement. It performs better than the keyboard. Can control more directions than keyboard. It is also better than rubbing glass in the operation experience. For example, in the picture. Jumping and steering in mobile games. Slide control is used. Long press. Actions that require the player to control the degree of control when pressed. For example, in our game. Long press grenade. Control the timing and range of the bombings. Or in the game of pool. Long press to control the heading force. It is characterized by the need to continuously maintain a certain operation. And the response time is slightly longer. In addition, the corresponding UI progress prompt is required. Let's compare it comprehensively, and it's very understandable. In the game, the joystick is suitable for a single click. That's press and drag. For example, when you click on the joystick, quickly position the rocker cap to the pressed position. You can drag the rocker cap to any position in the rocker. When released, restore the rocker cap position to the center of the rocker. In addition, in order to allow players to think less during the operation, know how to use. There are still some principles to follow when designing a game UI. The uniformity principle. That is, operations of the same nature need to be consistent. For example, in what we are going to do in this overhead shooting game. To control player movement. Control the direction of the firearm and fire. We design the left and right rockers. The left joystick is used to control the direction of player movement. The right joystick is used to control the aiming direction of the firearm and fire. When the right joystick is dragged beyond its radius, firearm fire. A good game UI design. While achieving comfort and convenience, you also have to think about fluidity. Fluency refers to the fast response of the interface without being stuck. This is a basic requirement. Motion graphics are usually used to meet this. For example, use motion graphics to mask the rigid loading process of the interface. Create a sense of flow, in addition to guiding the player's gaze. Create a sense of atmosphere. For example, the loading process of this game The progress bar in it shows. There are also special effects when objects are dropped. And finally, there is another very important point. Game UI design should do a good job of user experience. Adaptability is an issue that must be considered. Affected by the length of characters in different languages. If you want to do multilingual matching, the interface text display area should reserve enough space. In addition, due to the different screen sizes of mobile phones on the market, when doing UI design, be sure to consider screen adaptation. We ran into this problem when we were designing joysticks. The position displayed by the joystick on different screens will be slightly different. In order to facilitate player control, according to the grip habits of horizontal screen gamers, place the reference coordinate origin of the joystick set in the lower left corner and lower right corner respectively. Is that so? No matter how the screen size changes, the joystick will always be there. An area that is convenient for the player's thumb to touch. So, don't look at it as a small joystick UI. It contains many design ideas and considerations. When everyone has the knowledge in this area, future, to better design a good user experience UI. Below, we briefly summarize the ideas of joystick UI design. To ensure a good user experience, it is necessary to consider the comfort of operation when designing the UI. Convenience, fluency and adaptability. Then the next bar. So let's go from what we've been talking about in this lecture. Joystick UI design ideas. Design a joystick UI in the editor.